Gonna get started. Recording in progress. Hello and welcome back to the Monday 5:30 Mindfulness Meditation Half Hour. My name's Casey. Love doing these things. These meetups are so much fun. I guess we're at over 60 recordings now, which is pretty wild. It's been like over a year and a half now, so still having a good time. Talking with my youngest sister yesterday. She is an actress, a performer. She goes to school. She's graduating soon, but she goes to school at Carnegie Mellon, which is the top theater program in the U.S. and one of the top in the world. So she takes it very seriously and very talented, very accomplished, especially for such a young age. She's 23, I believe. We speak regularly, and I've helped her with the meditation practice and mindfulness and stuff. And so we talk fairly regularly. And she was at an audition yesterday. She was there for like 8 hours or 6 hours or something, which is a long time to do anything. And she was telling me how amazing it was that because she was meditating and she had been meditating for a while now, since last October is when she came out here and I talked to her about meditation, things like that. She said that it was amazing how such a long and what would normally be a very stressful situation was not only very tolerable, but actually it was kind of enjoyable. And she was able to go through that entire process, recognizing parts of the experience where she would normally be very stressed or very overwhelmed or very uncomfortable. And instead of that, not only did she recognize that, wow, this is how I would normally feel, but this is how I feel now. And she just felt like she had a lot more control and she was a lot more relaxed. And she said that she had one of the best auditions she'd ever had in her life. And she attributed much of that to her meditation practice. And I told her name's Susanna, or Suze. I said, well, Suze, what's happening now is you've reached a new phase in your practice where you're able to actually experience the benefits and utilize those tools that you've gained in real time, because there's a threshold with meditation where in the beginning you really need to trust in the practice because you don't know if it's quote unquote working or not. You don't know if it's working or not. I've said before that with physical exercise, there are certain activities where it's very easy to quantify the progress that you're making. We're looking at lifting weights. It's like it's very easy to feel the effectiveness of lifting weights because if you do a few curls in the gym, your muscles swell up, the blood flow goes to your arms, you feel it working immediately. And that can be very encouraging. That part of the practice can be very encouraging. Meditation isn't like that. It's very, very difficult to quantify the benefits or the efficacy of the practice. It's almost impossible in the very beginning. In fact, we could say it's even the opposite, where you think, oh no, this isn't working at all. Nothing's happening, right? I'm not feeling anything. Nothing's happening. Or we feel irritated or bored, or we're thinking, I'm doing this wrong. And oftentimes, the reason why I tend to focus more on what could be perceived as more negative or difficult experiences in meditation is because those are the experiences that tend to push us away from the practice, when really it's just one of many experiences that we'll have as we establish and deepen and maintain and grow our meditation practice. And in the beginning of the practice, it's very difficult to quantify or gauge just how effective it is, because we're not really getting those immediate results. And the thing with meditation is we're not really in it for the immediate results. We're in it just to do it. And of course, as we meditate, the heart rate goes down and the cortisol levels decrease, and the prefrontal cortex, the medial prefrontal cortex, the MPFC in our brain gets activated more, and our body does respond. We do get instant physiological and physical responses or reactions to a meditation practice, but it's not as obvious and it's not perhaps as encouraging right off the bat as lifting weights or going for a run, where after you run a mile, you feel, especially in the beginning of your practice, yeah, I definitely just ran a mile. I feel that in my body. I feel that. Meditation is a lot more subtle. And in the beginning, we need to trust in the practice, because all we're doing is we're stopping and we're looking. We're stopping and we're observing, and we're noticing patterns in our behavior, in our thoughts, in our emotions. We're noticing things in real time as they come up, and that's all we're doing in the beginning. We're just noticing, because to try to take action with these things, well, that's what we've been doing our whole lives, and oftentimes that doesn't serve us. Most of the time, we're just reacting unconsciously, automatically, and instantly to thoughts, emotions, physical sensations, things like that, which sometimes is fine, but most of the time, if it's unconscious, not only do we not really know if it's serving us in a positive way or not, but it might not be serving us at all, actually. Oftentimes, the way that we react to our thoughts, to our emotions, to certain physical sensations, our guard goes up and our energy goes towards attempting to block out some of these more difficult aspects of our experience, which in one sense is human, but also we can practice embracing those, accepting those. But before we do any of that, before we're able to actually put our practice into practice, there is a threshold, kind of window of time where we just need to trust in the practice before we can put the insights that we've learned, the changes that we've noticed, into practice. Because if we just watch our thoughts for a while, then we start to understand ourselves. And the more we understand, the more we can move on. And I've said that before. And I think that that's a really powerful part of the practice. The more we understand something, the more we can move on. When we understand, oh, here's how I feel when I think this, or here's what I think when I feel this, the more we can do that just sitting in stillness, the more we can practice open observation, the less personal we take our experience, which is good, because oftentimes we're taking things personally that don't need to be taken personally, and we're incorporating a lot of stress and tension into our lives. That's really unnecessary, but it's necessary until we realize, oh yeah, this doesn't need to be necessary anymore. So all we do in the beginning is we just watch and we notice. And then through that practice, through that observation, all of a sudden it becomes a little more interactive with our thoughts. And we could say, oh, I recognize that thought. So instead of doing what I would normally do, which is trying to push it away, or when someone says something to me in a situation, instead of reacting the way that I would normally react, the space has increased. We've grown the space between stimulus and response. When someone says something we don't like, normally pre-meditation practice, pre-sitting down and just observing in stillness and just watching mindfully, just noticing what we're thinking, what we're feeling, how we're doing, what we're doing, sitting in that mindful stillness. Before that practice, the reaction time between someone saying something that we don't like and us reacting to it is virtually non-existent. It's almost an instant response, when really through that mindful stillness, we can stop and say, oh, okay, let me pause here. And this is happening in real time. We could do this in a few moments with enough practice. We think, oh, okay, well, that makes me feel this way. And I know that when I feel this way, I think this. And normally, here's what I would say. And that's what I've been doing for most of my life. But because I've practiced just sitting still, just noticing, just watching, which is very difficult, but because I've had that time of just trusting in the process and going, man, this feels really uncomfortable. I really hope that this is the right thing to do. And it is. It is. You're doing the right thing. If you're sitting down and meditating and breathing and just noticing, you're doing the right thing, no matter how uncomfortable or unproductive or irrelevant it may feel. It's all related. It's all related in the practice. And we start to realize that, because then we can stop and think, oh, here's what I would normally do. Here's what I'm going to do now. And oftentimes, in my personal experience, I've often had the opportunity to say, here's what I would normally do. I know what's going to happen based on the past experiences of how these situations have gone, because we often experience the same sort of situations and the same kind of people. It's archetypal, right? There's a lot of archetypes. There's always going to be someone who's not the most easy person to get along with in our lives. I don't care if it's a coworker or a family member or what. If we take away the name and we take away the details, there's an archetype there. Same with situations. There's always going to be a particular situation where, fill in the blank, we're stressed, right? The circumstances may vary, but the stress and the way that that our body intakes that stress initially is going to be familiar. And because of that, I say, I've had the opportunity to say, well, here's what I would normally do. I'm going to do the exact opposite because I already know what the past um, responses that I've had have amounted to. I know the results based on the past and really hasn't gone well. So I'm just going to try the opposite. And if that doesn't work, then that's fine too. But I have that agency, I have that control, I have that option. And the way that we get those tools and that insight and these are all resources, right? The way that we get these resources to change our future by staying present in the now, the way we do that is to trust in the process, trust in the practice, and it's kind of a leap of faith. And then there comes a point where you think, oh, yeah, all of this is actually directly related to my meditation practice. All these changes that I've had, these monumental paradigm shifts, it was very cumulative. It was incremental with the practice, but now I feel it, and now I'm actually able to put it into practice. And that's what I was talking to my youngest sister about because she had, I said, this is a new frontier in your mindfulness and meditation practice where you're actually able to more proactively or actively integrate what you've learned from your practice, from the initial sitting still, which is what we still do. We meditate, but we're taking these resources and putting them into practice in real time. And that was really exciting for her. And the experience, I told her we're barely scratching the surface. And that's how meditation always is. We're just scratching the surface. There's no finish line with meditation. There's always more to learn. There's always more to observe because we're always changing. Everything is always changing. And when we start to take our thoughts less seriously, and we start to realize the amount of agency and control and space that we have in our day-to-day life, whether it's interacting with our own thoughts and emotions or interacting with outside, seemingly external circumstances and people, because everything is connected, everything's related. Um, Regardless of the situation, everything becomes an opportunity. And so suddenly there are no more bad um, experiences. There's just challenging experiences that we can use for um, that we can use to deepen our understanding of the practice, and we can appreciate them. We don't have to enjoy them. That might be setting us up for failure or for a more difficult time. Think, God, why am I not enjoying this? Well, because it's not very enjoyable, but you can appreciate it, right? And that's different. To be able to appreciate a really stressful situation, you don't have to enjoy it. No one's telling you to grin your teeth and enjoy it. When it comes to meditation, you just notice whatever comes up. And when we practice along the entire spectrum or perhaps continuum of moment by moment experience, breath by breath, when we practice on that, that opens up our world. And that opens up our world in just about every way. And so when we trust in the process, we trust in the practice, all of a sudden that starts to integrate. And we think, and it's just like anything else, as I said last week, if you do anything for 20 minutes twice a day, it's going to change your life. If you do anything for 20 minutes twice a day, it's going to change you. I don't care what it is. So it might as well be meditation. Why not? Um, you know, 20 minutes twice a day might not seem like a lot, might feel like a lot, depending on what you're going through. But I can't think of a better investment for your life. The more you understand yourself on these deeper levels, the easier you'll be able to navigate through your day-to-day experience. And the more challenging something is, the more we take it as an opportunity to think, ooh, this is cool. This is uh, something that I can appreciate. I don't really enjoy it, but I can appreciate this. And I don't have to take it for granted. I don't have to fight it. I can use it to strengthen my practice. And when we reach that point, there's really no way to lose. And I think that that is one of the biggest takeaways of a mindfulness and meditation practice is things stop becoming your enemy and everything just starts working with you as opposed to against you. So all that being said, find a comfortable seated position. We have 10 minutes of meditation, trusting in the process, trusting in the practice. Every time we sit down, we just relax and notice what comes up. Spine is long. Take a few deep breaths. Take a deep breath in. Let it go. Whenever you're ready, gently blink your eyes open. When we're first beginning a meditation practice, it can be difficult to know if we're doing it right, and trusting in the process and trusting in the practice, being consistent and diligent with that can really be a difficult time, especially starting out. And it can be very, very encouraging when we start to realize that, in fact, it is working and it has been working. And the more we do it, the more it will continue to work. That being said, there may be times in your practice later on, maybe years later, where you feel like it maybe has stopped working. Pardon the finger air quotes. And again, we need to trust in the practice, and we need to recognize that, yeah, it may not feel like it's working now, but if I trust in the process and ultimately trust in this practice, that I will continue to strengthen my practice and also become more comfortable with dealing with the world around me. And that's a huge, huge takeaway of meditation and mindfulness practice. And I want to thank you for sharing your practice with me. As always, see you soon.